Our priorities within the BRICS forum are really contained within the theme. The 5 BRICS countries contain within them very important developing countries. And I have confidence in all the BRICS members. We must have an agenda that is focused on supporting others. I think if India, Brazil, China, and South Africa and Russia begin to speak in one voice on development, I believe we would have progress. We have a shared history. Politically, the BRICS countries supported us in our struggle for freedom. We're a voice for the South, and we need to use that voice because we have platforms.
Welcome to Raisina Ideas Pod, and I have with me Her Excellency Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, South Africa, Naledi Pandor. Minister, welcome to Raisina Ideas Pod, and thank you for your time. Incidentally, Minister also happens to be an educator, an academic, and had been serving as a member of Parliament from the African National Congress for almost 3 decades. Since, in fact, we are talking about South Africa, and given the fact that South Africa has taken over the BRICS presidency, so what are the priorities that South Africa has as far as the BRICS presidency is concerned? And in what direction do you really propose to take the BRICS under your presidency?
Well, thank you for those questions, and thank you for this opportunity. Our priorities within the BRICS forum are really contained within the theme that we have proposed, and it's been adopted by all the BRICS members. And that is really to focus on BRICS and Africa, and within that focus to promote sustainable development and inclusive growth. We believe these are 2 key priorities if Africa is to make advances. And the 5 BRICS countries contain within them very important developing countries. India, the largest. China, huge economy. Brazil, huge population, excellent agricultural capacity. And of course, South Africa, a lodestar on human rights. So, and Brazil, with Russia, bring very important innovation and technological capacity that we can utilize to benefit the African continent. So we thought, given our location in Africa, given that we're a developing country, and given the privilege we enjoy of associating with these other 4 very key countries in the global community, let's bring them closer to our continent. Let's really focus on how together we can work with the African Union in particular and the African Agenda 2063 to ensure that we support pursuit of sustainable development and inclusive growth. So this is going to be the key set of activities that we will promote in the year of our chair.
Okay. So now that we find that BRICS by itself is subsumed under the G20, because all the 5 BRICS nations are part of the G20. And given the fact that we are also going to have 3 successive BRICS nations, especially in India, then it's going to be Brazil, then it's going to be South Africa, from 2023 till 2025, assuming the G20 presidency as well. Do you really feel that this is really going to cause, further the cause of the emerging economies concerns in the G20 as also, in fact, as far as the globe is concerned?
Well, I think we must set the tone to do so. This is a really critical opportunity for the developing world. And so it's vital that we use our presence in the G20 to advance progressive ideas and to really look south, which the world doesn't do enough. We tend to look to the north, which is already extremely powerful, very rich,
True.
and doesn't really need our detailed attention. We live in a world where poverty is a huge problem, where inequality is a huge concern, and it's important that we draw the G20 into actual solutions to the problems that confront us on a daily basis. So I hope that as chair of G20, the consecutive chairs being Indonesia, India, Brazil, and then South Africa, that we're going to use that presence to redirect the G20 to the original agenda, which was economic support and growth, development. If we can achieve that on an active basis and ensure that we are properly focused, that we offer real support through G20 countries, I believe we'll have achieved something. And I have confidence in all the BRICS members that they have the capability within them to be that driving force.
Okay, so, but given this entire SDG agenda, what should be taken as the most immediate or urgent goal that needs to be achieved for Africa, and where South Africa can provide leadership?
I think that we are worried that there are 7 years remaining of the SDG agenda, and there are many countries that have backtracked, primarily because of COVID-19 and the pauses that we had in economic activity. So many African countries are facing huge debt levels. A number of them are not able to focus on the key development priorities. So what I hope we will fight for as the BRICS countries and within G20 is a genuine stimulus package to address the remaining goals and to help those countries that are lagging behind to accelerate development action. I think if we could achieve the creation of a genuine stimulus package closely associated with development goals along the SDG framework, I'm sure we could make a difference. But if we just enter for purposes of debate, discussion, nice dinners as we're enjoying here in Delhi, we're not going to make any advances. So we must have an agenda that is focused on supporting others to move forward.
So in that case, do you really think that there should be some kind of modification in the global development governance institutions, or even in fact thinking about a different kind of financial institutional structures that we need for the SDGs, especially when we are concerned so much about the global south?
Well, I do believe that the restructuring of the international global, the finance institutes is important, but I think for the moment where we want to see action, they have within them sufficient resources that could be made available to support development. And we are a presence in all those institutions. So I think we must redirect their agenda, and we should engage with our powerful friends as well, so that we're working together to ensure that that debt liquidity and debt relief we've been talking about, the pause on interest payments for the most poor countries, that all of that is agreed in the context of the IMF and the World Bank, so that a genuine development support package can be initiated. And I think we, as these 5 countries, can lead in that process.
So in that case, South Africa has to be the real leader or the representative voice of the African landmass as a whole, isn't it?
I think it has to be a loudmouth partner. I don't think just a leader, because then you sometimes are alone when you're a leader. I think we need to persuade, we should agree on a basic framework of action, and then acting in concert, we must make it happen. I think if India, Brazil, China, and South Africa and Russia begin to speak in one voice on development, I believe we would have progress.
Right. But in any case, suppose there is a certain amount of heterogeneity also within the BRICS.
Absolutely. This is why we came together. There are shared ideologies. We have a shared history. Politically, the BRICS countries supported us in our struggle for freedom. And we regard ourselves as containing within us a progressive framework of how the world should change. We are not right-wing in orientation. We are developmental focused. And so I think that brings value. It's an exciting forum in that it's very modern,
Yes.
and it's focused on change. And this is absolutely critical. So we're a voice for the South, and we need to use that voice because we have platforms all over the world in which we have the privilege of being present and being able to articulate a Southern perspective.
So, since we also talked about the financial institutional structures, do you really feel that we already have the BRICS Bank? What do you think its role can be in terms of channelizing money for the global South, as also from the BRICS itself, and in fact providing leadership to the entire financial architecture for the global South?
The BRICS NDB, the New Development Bank, we're very proud of it. It achieved AAA status in the early stages of its formation, and it has played an important role in supporting infrastructure development in our countries, roads, dams, improved ports. So we are thrilled at the work that it has done. But we have to be aware that it also faces constraints because we have to work within the context of the dollar. So I think, we all have to start thinking about change and whether there are other currencies that should come into play in world international trade, that we shouldn't be so tied to one currency that when there's a problem,
Right.
all of us suffer. So it's something the world should think about more and more. And we created the NDB in order to have an institution through which we could realize a different set of outcomes and a new financial architecture. So it's important that the BRICS countries continue to support the NDB and ensure that it understands why we established it and the fact that we didn't want it to be like a Bretton Woods institution. True. We wish it to really be focused on what the 21st century wants to see changing in our communities.